Good morning. It is week 7 of the Rainier Echoes Quilt Along, and I'm just jumping on here so we can go over week 7. I'll wait a couple seconds, see if some people jump on. Hello, Florist Creations. I'm on live on Instagram and on Facebook today. The Rainier Echoes Quilt Along started in the beginning of April, and we only have 2 weeks left. I can't believe it. It's gone by so fast. This week we're making our quilt top, and I kind of separated that out from the basting, quilting, and binding, just because I wanted to give everybody a chance to catch up this week. Hello, Tanya. Hello, Dory. Oh, good. Some people are jumping on. So if you guys have any questions about this week, putting your quilt top together, please let me know. Everyone should have all their blocks done, but if you don't, this is the perfect week to catch up, because putting the quilt top together is pretty simple when there's no sashing. This is an overall design, so we're just taking the 9 blocks that we made, we're sewing them into strips, and then we're sewing those strips together. All right, so let me know if you have any questions. If you are a beginner quilter and this is the very first quilt you've ever done, it may be a little tricky, but if you've made quilts before, it's going to be a cinch. I like to lay on the pattern it shows on page 10, all the blocks laid out. I like to do that personally. If you don't have a large enough floor area in your house, lay it out on your bed top. Sometimes I do that. I lay it on my bed, or sometimes I'll lay it on my family room floor, just to make sure, like if you do have directional print, and I do have directional print in mine, I laid all the pieces out to make sure all my blocks, scallops were going all the same way. So this strip, all the scallops are going down, and that way I can make sure all the blocks are faced the correct way. They're all laying the correct way, and you don't have some of these outer blocks flipped the wrong way. You want to make sure they're all going the right way. Hi, Linda. Hi, Kathy. Oh, good. Everybody's joining me today. So once you have all the blocks laid out, since they are such big blocks, I do recommend pinning them in place. When you go to pin the blocks together, I already sewed mine together. What I did, I'm doing the large throw, which is an 80 by 80 inch throw. Since the center of the strips will have a solid piece connected to one that has pieced squares, I took this block and folded it in half and kind of just creased it to where the middle was. Since there's no spots that you would be nesting seams, I kind of did that, and then I did the same with the other block, just so that I can kind of, line up the centers of both blocks. And that kind of gave me a starting point to where I started pinning. I pinned in the center of that block, and then I gently laid them on top of each other. You don't want one stretched out and the other not stretched out. You just want them gently, like, seamed together, and pin those in place. So on this one, the top and the bottom rows, you'll have that on both sides. You'll have this just large strip connected to your second block. For the center one, you'll have more areas where you can nest the seams. And nesting seams, we did that in our blocks, where you match 2 seams up together, having one pressed left and one pressed right, just so that they fit together. The seams butt right up next to each other like a puzzle piece. And that makes when you open it up, you don't lose your seams. And like from a distance, this will look like a straight line because these were nested and butted up together, and it doesn't look choppy at all. It just looks like one big seam. If yours didn't line up perfectly, it's okay. Don't worry about it. it doesn't have to be perfect. Do the best you can. If this is the first quilt you are making, don't expect it to be perfect. My first quilt, I look back at it and I got points chopped off, things aren't lined up perfectly. And it's a learning process. We learn from each quilt we make, um, better ways to make them, better ways to do it yourself. Making sure you have consistent seams throughout, that really helps in lining the blocks up. Since you made 9 different blocks, and we have 3 different style of blocks, they all have different seams. And so if your seams are not that scant 1/4 inch seam, um, your blocks may have not ended up the correct size. So if you do that correct 1/4 inch scant seam, which I have a foot that I put on my machine that gives me that exact 1/4 inch scant, um, that makes it so once those little seams are taken up, your blocks will all be the same size. That scant is just a thread width or needle width smaller than a regular 1/4 inch, because we want to account for the fold in the fabric. The thread takes up a little bit, and the fold takes up a little bit of fabric. Although talking makes my throat dry. So once you have sewn it into strips, you're gonna iron. Let's see. Either way, I put arrows just to kind of help you out. The center strip seams will go toward the center, and the top and the bottom will go out, just so you can nest those seams. So I have my 2 bottom strips already sewn together, and what I did was I made sure the directions were all going the same way, and then I started pinning at the edges of the center blocks. So I nest them up at these 2 points, and then I kind of went at each spot that was going to nest, and I do the nesting spots first. I pin at those spots, and then I pin throughout. Since it's such a large block, I like to pin at the nesting spots, and then I like to pin in between as well. All right, make sure there's no questions throughout, since it's such a long seam. And then when you're sewing these, again, like when you sewed your blocks, the seam will be hitting right above these little triangles on your half square triangles. That way you don't cut off your little triangle points. And I wonder if I cut off any of mine. Sometimes it happens, but no. But if you sew right on top of them, you don't cut off those little points. And if you had consistent seams, all those little points will show. Let's see, I don't know. Can't back up very far. But this is a big one, guys. Never made this big of a quilt for a quilt along, so it's a little difficult to show you guys. But yeah, this center block is huge. I like it. I like that it's so huge. I only made 9 blocks, and my quilt's almost done. So cool. So if you guys don't have any questions, let me know. Do you have any questions? Get all 3 of those rows sewed together, and then you have your quilt top. Iron those seams down, and we're not going to start, you can start basting, binding, and quilting and binding before next week, but make sure to wait and post your final result until after next Wednesday so you can be entered into the weekly giveaway. So I know a couple people posted the pictures of their finished quilt tops a few days ago. So if they want to just repost their quilt top now, I enter all the names after my prompt into the giveaway. So I take all the Instagram entries and all the Facebook group entries, put them together, and then I do a random number, the randomnumber.org, and generates a number, and I pick from that. So last week, Louise from the Quilt Along group was the winner of the Cotton and Joy Prairie Tracks pattern, PDF pattern. It's a gorgeous pattern. If you haven't checked out Cotton and Joy's quilt patterns yet, go check them out. She is actually local to Washington State where I live, so that's kind of cool to have another pattern designer close by. I think she might be like actually not that far from where I live. It's kind of funny. And then this week, week 7's giveaway is oh, they actually are right over there somewhere. Quilty Love. Emily Dennis from Quilty Love has donated 4 patterns, 4 paper patterns to the winner of this week, the quilt top winner. So make sure to post a picture of your quilt top in the Facebook group or on Instagram with the hashtag Rainier Echoes QAL, and make sure your profile is public. If it is not public, I can't see it. So if you enter on Instagram and in the Facebook group, that's 2 entries. So you got 2 entries to the giveaway. I hope you guys are all having a great day, staying safe and healthy. We're still doing good over here. I think all the staying at home. I'm only doing online grocery orders and picking them up. So, very little contact with the outside world. But I'm staying sane, doing good. 5 more weeks of school, or actually 4.5 now. Today's Wednesday. So, and then summer break. I'm really looking forward to summer break. A few people have asked what the next quilt along is. I do not know yet. So, and I don't know when that will be either. I guess I don't typically do them in the summertime. I guess I'll have to think about it if I want to do one in the summertime or not. It's just we get really busy in the summertime. I don't know how busy this one's going to be if we have to be at home all the time. So we'll see. I'll think about it. You guys all have a great day, and I will talk to you next Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time to go over basting, quilting, and binding our quilts so we can have a finished quilt to snuggle under. Have a great day, and I will talk to you next week.